Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of What They Don't Say. And this story regarding Tulsi and the investigation into the Russian hoax is awash in things that they don't say. Right-wing media isn't going to tell you the truth about this. Left-wing media wishes they didn't even have to talk about it. But the truth is, we always knew it was wrong. Nobody did anything at the time. The Republicans played right along with it. They're always in defense mode. There is nothing aggressive. That's why myself and a lot of my friends, a lot of you people out there, agree that there's something to the theory of a uniparty. Why is the GOP always in defense mode? They wait until the Democrats do something, then they defend themselves. Why are they never the aggressors? They should have been aggressive right at the beginning of that hoax. They played along with it. Okay, here's something that right-wing media isn't going to talk about. Not many people remember the fact the GOP ran the House Intelligence Committee, and they subpoenaed a lot of people, and they were aggressive about it, like they were conducting an actual criminal investigation, not like they were trying to end the hoax. They called in Don Jr. twice. And it was so bad, they were so rough on him the first time. This is Republicans. They were so rough on Don Jr. the first time they called him in to testify, they subpoenaed him, that he had to negotiate terms for the second meeting. They had him in there for 6 hours. The other thing you better remember, this wasn't all done by Democrats. Remember, Trump was the outsider. Both parties tried to stop him from getting to the White House in the first place. They had both fought against him. Trump was put in there by the people against the wishes of the party. It wasn't the Democrats that started the whole thing. They might have had the idea. I'm sure they did. However, after Jeff Sessions recused himself and stabbed Trump in the back shortly after becoming AG, there was a guy named Rod Rosenstein who was a deputy AG, and he appointed special counsel to investigate the Russian hoax. He's the one that got the ball rolling. Rod Rosenstein, a Republican. He appointed Mueller, Robert Mueller, as a special counsel. Remember? That was all Republicans. Paul Ryan was the Speaker of the House. He could have shut the whole thing down. There was a Republican House, Republican Senate. They all went along with the investigation. They treated it like it was a real crime instead of saying, you people are batshit crazy and just shutting it all down. No, the GOP House funded the Mueller investigation. In 2 years, they spent over $40 million. They produced a 448-page report in 2 volumes. Along the way, they stuck their tentacles out and grabbed in everybody that they could. Remember General Michael Flynn? A 3-star general, or lieutenant general, a man who had served honorably. They destroyed the man. You've got to realize, once the feds pull you in an investigation, you've got to lawyer up, and you better have the best, because the feds have unlimited resources. They don't have to worry about a budget when they bring lawyers to attack you. You have to worry about it to defend yourself. The process becomes the punishment. Even if you are innocent, you're still broke. They break you down like that. That should be illegal. But that's exactly what they did to Michael Flynn. And he wound up getting convicted. The GOP colluded with the Democrats to get this done. It wasn't just the Democrats. Republicans could have shut it down at any moment. They could have defunded the investigation. They could have fought back. They could have said it was all balderdash and poppycock. But no, they didn't. They treated it like it was real. Robert Mueller knew. Robert Mueller needs to be prosecuted right up front with everybody else. But they're pinning this all on Obama, and this is what scares me about the whole thing. By pinning it on Obama, they're dumping it all in the lap of somebody that we all know is not going to be convicted. No matter what happens, America is not going to convict Barack Obama and send him to prison. That is not going to happen. You know it, and I know it. But they're putting it all on him because he can weather the storm. And all the people underneath him, they're all in the shadows, and they're going to be safe. They're going to be protected because Big Brother's out front taking all the heat. taking all the arrows, and he can pull them out and walk away. Mueller needs to go to prison for this. James Comey needs to go to prison for this. That's just for starters. But do not let anybody tell you that this is all Democrats, that this was all Obama. If Rod Rosenstein, a Republican, had not appointed a special counsel and acted like the Democrats really had something there, it never would have started. If Paul Ryan and the GOP Congress had done their job and refused to fund it, it would have died. They kept it going for 2 years. The only thing that came from it was damage. We paid over $40 million in taxpayer money just to hurt good people. They kept it going until it was time for the COVID hoax. They spent the first 2 years of the Trump presidency with the Republican Party that had rejected him in the first place, helping the Democrats stall him, tie him up so that he could not accomplish his agenda. They tried to destroy him. Both parties colluded. This is not all Democrats. Don't fall for the lies. There's a lot of really guilty Democrats. I can't believe every Republican is that stupid. I believe a lot of them are guilty too. This was a uniparty operation. Democrats were definitely out front with it. I think all the planning was done on the Democrat side in the old Pelosi, Clinton, globalist machine. The deep state that we've all talked about. The Democrat side of it. But there's a lot of guilty Republicans involved in this too. Do not let right-wing media pretend that it was all Democrats. But Tulsi has gotten to the bottom of it, which is also interesting. Here's another thing that they don't say. You're not going to hear this in any media, and it's documented fact. Tulsi is a former Democrat, a recent former Democrat. Isn't it interesting that nobody with roots in the GOP has done anything about this? Nobody with roots in the GOP acted on this. It took a Democrat crossover to do this in defense, protection, and seeking out justice for a Democrat crossover president. Neither one of them, Trump or Tulsi, has roots in the Republican Party. I'm amused by the fact that people are saying, oh, this is the worst scandal, the worst case of fraud in U.S. history. Did you already forget the Obama birth certificate? Obama should never have been president. He was allowed to stay for 8 years. The GOP helped. I mean, come on. They ran John McCain against him, okay? Now we have a Democrat crossover helping the ex-Democrat president get some justice in some of the shenanigans. But no, it is definitely not the worst hoax. The bad news, Tulsi Gabbard has referred it for prosecution. She referred it to Pam Bondi. It is on her desk. So far, that's been where justice goes to die. The job of Pam Bondi now, she is going to want to prosecute the Trump attackers. President Trump is on a mission to get his paybacks, and I think the guy's got a right to do it. Rank has its privileges. This guy was excoriated, folded, spindled, and mutilated by these people, and I think he's got a right to seek personal justice for crimes against the country. Personally against him. What that man went through, he's got a right to get some justice. However, what concerns me, where is it going to stop? Obviously, this is coming out right now. The White House is pushing for this now because they've got to get away from this Epstein mess that Trump and Bondi created. We know there's a cover-up. We know that the high-ranking pedophiles of D.C. and the world are getting away with some awful crimes with the help of this administration. That's a dark spot on them that can't be denied. It's good timing right now to start pushing this, to get people back on the Trump bandwagon and to bury the Epstein story. One thing that bothers me, the one thing that Tulsi Gabbard has gotten wrong is she said Obama was the instigator. No, he wasn't. Obama was a stupid puppet. He was slick, charismatic. He could get up there and talk. When Obama was president, we all knew the whole time that he was a puppet. The question was always, all right, who is Obama's puppet master? Nobody knew for sure. There's a lot of speculation. George Soros always comes up. There's a lot of globalists. Personally, I think it's more of a committee style thing. A global committee in the shadows. It's the deep state. Obama himself did not orchestrate this. He might have been the vehicle of delivery through the levels of government. I absolutely believe that. Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, there's some awful, powerful, evil players. Donovan, There's names in the background. Rossetti. People don't even pay enough attention to know who all is really in the bowels of the White House. There's a lot of staff in there, and they're up to a lot of bad things. Obama didn't do it, but he's guilty enough, in my opinion. This is more justification of calling this man a criminal and prosecuting him as one. Yes, it was nasty crimes committed personally against Trump. Their attempt to steal democracy from the American people by destroying him as a president, that's a crime against you, me, everybody, and everything American. This is a crime against the country. So was January 6th. We know Biden did not win a fair election. Pelosi orchestrated the January 6th fiasco. Pelosi, I think, was probably instrumental in that, more so than Obama ever was with anything. Thank God we've got a former Democrat in here doing something about it now for the former Democrat president. There are some bad things coming from these Democrats that are already in the pipeline, and it's all about interfering with the progress of America and the presidential agenda as we move forward. None of that is being discussed because, once again, we've got the Republicans looking in the rearview mirror, demanding corrections for the mistakes that they sat and watched happen. Tulsi Gabbard, in my opinion, has great integrity. She has given us no reason to think that she doesn't. I've been very impressed with her. So what happens to Tulsi Gabbard when she sees Bondi picking and choosing who to let go and who to go after? My guess right now, based on experience, knowing that Trump wants some prosecution of the worst, Bondi is going to pick out a couple of names and go after him. And she's going to let a lot of people off the hook. Because one thing she does not want to do is take it in any direction that's going to nail anybody on the right. She is going to be very careful. We saw this with the Epstein files, right? Bondi doesn't go after the core. She wants to pick things off from around the edges. She's establishment. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard's going to take that. I think when Tulsi sees that happening, she's going to speak up. This investigation and the great work that she has done on the Russian scandal is probably the beginning of the end of Tulsi. We've already got Bongino and Patel ghosting America. Whatever happened in the back room, which we don't know, right-wing media made up a bunch of stuff. Okay, Bongino's mad. He's going to leave. Well, we all watched Bongino sit there and claim Epstein didn't kill himself. He sure didn't look like his heart was in it when he said it. But I don't believe he's happy. I don't believe Patel is happy either about the debacle, the fiasco of the cover-up of the Epstein case. The pedophiles protected while the victims don't receive any justice. It's been over a week since anything of substance has come from either one of those guys, and they should be front and center right now with all of the corruption and crime that they're tasked with getting to the bottom of. We have Tulsi out there alone. We saw what happened to them. I think she's got more integrity than both of those guys. Her integrity could be her downfall because I don't believe that she is going to want to stop when Pam Bondi starts pulling on the reins. I'm afraid it's the beginning of her end. So what are your thoughts moving ahead with this whole situation? There's a lot of investigating that needs to be done. I do not believe that Tulsi will compromise the integrity of her investigation and her word that she tells the public. She won't compromise that for political favors that Bondi may be in favor of. We need to know more about Bongino and Patel. It's unfortunate. It is not good for an administration to have questions and a cloud hanging over the head of important figures like that, especially when there's this much going on. We're only, 6-7 months into this administration, and this is a big divide at the top. We don't even know the nature of it, how bad it is. Maybe they're just busy with other things. It should have been cleared up. It is not good to let the public speculate. However, Bondi absolutely blew it with the Epstein thing. If she didn't, it wouldn't have been a controversy. If it would have been handled better, no one would have been mad. Is she really the person that you want to have at the helm going into an even bigger series of events? This investigation that Tulsi is behind is going to be big. It's going to involve some of the most important figures in the country and the world. You really want to trust that to the girl that just blew it on Epstein? I don't have the confidence she's going to handle it right. And Tulsi will not tolerate it. Bongino and Patel, they're going to be instrumental in this thing. If they're still around. We got to get the air cleared up. What do you think? How's it all going to play out? Is Bondi and Tulsi, are they headed for a showdown? Bondi has got to step up and really do the job, or Tulsi's going to call her out. Okay, now I've got to say something that I know is not going to be politically correct, but people who understand it are going to know that it's gospel truth. And that is, I've run some big companies, okay? I've had women in the office get into arguments. I've had guys, a lot more guys get into arguments because I was working around a lot more guys. But the guys, they could get in a problem and they could go back and work together. They might not like each other, but they could work together. I had situations where women, they weren't even in the same department, but something would happen and it would cause a dust-up. They couldn't be around each other without it being a constant source of problem. 3-4 years later, they still hated each other. Once they decided, it affects how well they work together. I had situations where I would have to tell the department head, look, you got to get these girls in line, because I didn't want to have to do it. I shouldn't have had to. But it got to that point. It's crippling. We do not need Bondi and Tulsi Gabbard having a knockdown drag out. It's not going to work well for the administration. Even if it's behind the scenes, they are not going to be able to work well together. And I'm not sure that Tulsi has any confidence in Bondi right now anyway. I think she's probably too smart to believe in a woman. And I think if Bondi blows it at all, I think Tulsi's going to cloud up and rain all over her. And Trump will have to make a decision at that time. One of them's got to go. I don't care what you call me. The truth is, once women in an office decide that they can't get along, they're not gonna. Right now, for some reason, Trump keeps favoring Bondi. It's not worth keeping Bondi to lose Tulsi, Bongino, and Patel. Hang on to your hats, my friends. This ride's gonna get bumpy. Thank God for Tulsi. Thank God she's getting something done. Now let's see where it goes. We get this right, maybe God will continue to bless this great country of ours. Thanks for listening.